Good morning. I'm Jake Sherman.
I'm Anthony Adragna.
And welcome to the Daily Punch brought to you by Punchbowl News. It is June 24th, 2026. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, is Reconciliation 3.0 a gigantic waste of time? Number two, Trump's high-stakes gamble with Senate Republicans. And number three, Zohran Mamdani crushes Hakeem Jeffries on primary day. Let's get into it. Anthony, this is something that you cover. Defense spending, and I want to talk this morning about whether Mike Johnson's quest for a third reconciliation bill, whether it's a gigantic waste of time. Johnson has a big meeting today. For the umpteenth time, he is having House Republicans in his office to discuss a third reconciliation package. The vision for the third reconciliation package, I understand the logic. The logic is very clear to me, which is they need billions of dollars for the Pentagon for the war, to replenish munitions and to continue, to continue conducting the war, although the war seems to be, for now, kind of winding down. And but they'll have to pair that with gigantic cuts. They call it cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, but whatever. Some waste, fraud, and abuse for some, or cuts for other people. But there are a lot of concerns, and I'll kick it to you after this, and I'm going to list them. Number one, Senate Republicans do not want to do a reconciliation bill. Privately, they are much more harsh than they are publicly. They just basically say there's no chance. Vote-a-rama would be brutal, especially if it included health care and taxes. So it would be particularly bad for Senate Republicans. Number two, is this going to be seen as giving a stamp of approval to an unpopular war? Big question. Number three, are you really going to have House Republicans cut spending before an election? I don't care how good the spending cuts might be to some in the RSC and the HFC, more of the HFC, but I just think that it's going to be brutal for House Republicans to do so. And can Tom Emmer, the two-time NRCC chair, who understands politics probably better than anyone in the leadership, really get 218 Republicans to vote for a bill that cuts spending, funds an unpopular war, and doesn't stand a chance in the Republican Senate? Anthony, tell me I'm going to talk about what Mike Johnson thinks, but tell me what you think right now.
That's it in terms of the problems? That's it? I think what I'm really struck by, and you guys do a good job of capturing it, is just the number of unanswered questions at this point of the process, the scope of this thing, and just how many problems there are from all different parts of the conference, right? So you've got moderates who don't want to take this vote. You've got appropriators that don't like the idea of putting a lot of this spending into the party line reconciliation process. They worry about the precedent that's being set. We were talking to one House Republican yesterday that said we could probably deliver a defense part of this that's between 0 and 150 billion. I mean, that's a huge difference in number at this point in the process. So
you mean 1 billion to the 150 billion is a big delta.
Huge delta, right? And so the Pentagon hasn't been forthcoming with details about exactly what they'd spend this money on. We're pretty late in the year, especially right before the election, on top of all the problems you listed. And, we've underestimated Mike Johnson and his team before in terms of wrangling up 218 votes. But I think you're right. Then, you turn to the Senate, who really definitely doesn't want to do this.
This is not a Mike Johnson thing for me. I'm not doubting Mike Johnson. I'm really not. I mean, do I think he could do this? Sure, maybe. Do I think it's wise? That's a different question. Now, I did talk to Johnson yesterday about this at some length. He said he's bullish. He said, we've got some things we really need to do, must do, everyone wants to do. So we put together the magic combination. I think we get it done. I told him the politics are pretty difficult. He said they're always rough. And he said, I put a lot of hope in reconciliation when I asked him if a defense spending bill could pass outside of reconciliation. Now, I will say, Anthony, that the White House in recent days, to me, the administration, I should say, in recent days to me, and a lot of people in the administration think that a supplemental spending bill outside of reconciliation would be a better bet. Now, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that to me. It seems like both are pretty bad options, but outside of reconciliation, they'd obviously have to get 60 in the Senate, and they'd have to get a rule, most likely, on the House floor, get it out of the Rules Committee, get a rule, get a vote, and get 218. That's also very difficult. I mean, could they pair it with like wildfire, whatever? Yeah, I don't think that play works here. I think that's going to be tough. Could they pair it with, money for Ukraine? Sure. But I just think if you're watching the Democratic Party right now and you think they're going to be bought off for some whatever, I don't, for some like money, a little bit of money someplace else. I don't think that's gonna. I just don't think that's the case. I will say, rank and file Republicans are pretty bullish, bearish rather. Tom Cole said he doesn't see a relationship between reconciliation and the supplemental. He said cuts are pretty problematic. Ken Calvert said it's going to be very difficult. Steve Womack, he's skeptical. David Valadeo, the odds are not looking good. Ryan McKenzie, he'll want tax cuts for working families. Nick LaLota, he doesn't want a bunch of things that fell out of OBBB. So there you go. I think it's really difficult, right? I mean, I think that kind of lays it out quite well.
I would just say in none of the conversations Brianna and I have had this week, and we've been doing a pretty broad survey, have
Yep.
we've found any openness from Democrats for a supplemental. But Susan Collins, the chair of the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, saying that's basically the bet here. So, people are just all over the place here on the vehicle. There is Republican consensus on the need for more defense spending, but I mean, how you get there, what a mess.
Yep, agreed. And I think you and Brianna have captured this well throughout the last couple of weeks. I think it's very difficult. All right, Anthony, number 2 story of the morning. Donald Trump's going to be in the Capitol a lot today, which, as you pointed out on Twitter, on our X, whatever, last night, this is going to screw up our day. Why is it going to screw up our day? Because there's going to be Secret Service crawling around this building, not this building that I'm in now, but the Capitol all day. He has a 12 o'clock, I believe, signing ceremony for the housing bill in the Capitol in Stat Hall, which is going to be something. And then he goes from there to a lunch with Senate Republicans. So we're going to have a lot of Donald Trump at the Capitol today, potentially, 2-3 hours, I would assume 2 hours at least. But the politics of today's meeting, which we've covered in the last 2 days editions, is quite interesting. Trump has not been to the Capitol a lot. He's not interacted with groups of members of Congress, although he talks to a lot of members of Congress all the time. Listen, these meetings tend to be, they tend to be pretty high stakes. They tend to be pretty high drama. And I'm not sure this is going to move the Senate Republican Conference to his point of view. What do you think?
I think it's going to be really challenging for this to fundamentally change the calculus for anybody, right? I don't see Senate Republicans really altering their mindset here. The president's not used to these really adversarial or potentially adversarial environments where he's challenged. He doesn't seem to bow to people trying to persuade him very often, even when it may be in his own political interest. And as you point out, he hasn't been in Congress that much. He seems relatively checked out of the midterms at this point. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm not sure the degree to which we're going to see a ton of persuasion here convince Donald Trump to take a different approach.
All right, Anthony, number 3 story of the morning. Hakeem Jeffries got crushed by Zohran Mamdani in New York City. Mamdani won a lot. He swept his races. Adriano Espaillat lost in the 13th district, which is the Upper Manhattan and the Bronx. Claire Valdez, a Mamdani-backed DSA candidate, easily defeated Antonio Reynoso in Nydia Velasquez's district. Brad Lander beat Dan Goldman, another incumbent down in his Manhattan district, and this is a significant political setback for Jeffries that is going to be focused on a lot over the next couple of days. This shows, Anthony, where the energy is in the Democratic Party in New York City.
It's going to be tough. I mean, I think it's going to be a warning for leader Jeffries, if he's to become Speaker Jeffries, that he's going to have to watch his left flank, particularly at
Big time.
home. So definitely warning signs blare all around. And clearly, I think of New York City politics, the leaders there tend to be generational. And last night really felt like a new generation of New York City leaders
Agreed.
take the stage.
Agreed. Let's run through a couple more of the primary challenges and results. Michael Asher won Jerry Nadler's seat, defeating Alex Boris and Jack Schlossberg in the proxy fight for AI PACs. Jack Schlossberg, of course, the Kennedy heir, who has spent most of his recent years on Instagram and stuff, so he's not going to be coming to Congress. Kate Conley is going to be the Democrat facing Mike Lawler in a big race in New York's 17th district. That's going to cost millions and millions of dollars Democrats are going to spend to try to defeat Mike Lawler. Adrian Boafo is going to be Steny Hoyer's successor in a crowd. He won a crowded primary in that Maryland seat. David Trone is not coming back to Congress. The founder of Total Wines and former congressman lost his primary challenge to April McLean Delaney. Ben McAdams coming back to the House, most likely, almost certainly, after winning the 1st District in a redrawn blue seat. Blake Moore and Celeste Malloy, 2 Republican incumbents, won their primaries. Moore's challenger, though, got 40% of the vote, more than 40% of the vote, which is not great, Anthony, for a member of the Republican leadership. And Alan Wilson, Anthony, won the Republican primary in South Carolina. He is the son of Joe Wilson, longtime congressman, and that is a race that Donald Trump endorsed both candidates in. So with that, leave us a rating and review. You can subscribe to Punchbowl News at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe.